That's right. Bear down, Bears fans. It's time for another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast. Bears banter. Remember to breathe, Bill. Bill Zimmerman with you. We, of course, powered by Second City Gridiron. And ho-ho! The Chicago Bears have a quarterback. National media, shove it in your pipe and smoke it. They should have drafted Jaden Daniels. They should have traded back. They made a mistake. Because what? Caleb Williams had a couple rough games out of the gate. I have never seen a growth curve like this. I am pumped. I am excited. You should all be excited. The Chicago Bears have a quarterback. They don't have a gimmicky quarterback. They don't have a game manager. They don't have a sourpuss. They don't have a system quarterback. They have a legitimate NFL quarterback, and his name is Caleb Williams. That was a beautiful thing to see on Carolina against Carolina on Sunday. We are going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it with Spice Adams. Spice Adams is going to be dropping by the podcast here in just a little bit. We're going to ask Spice plenty. We're going to ask him about Wubbies getting chances with the ball. We're going to be asking about Caleb Williams, the defense, the London game. We got plenty to get to with Spice. But before we get there, let's talk about the Sistine Chapel. Let's talk about the Mona Lisa. Let's talk about Caleb Williams' performance against the Carolina Panthers. And I don't give a crap that the Carolina Panthers suck. We all know the Carolina Panthers suck. But you know what hasn't stopped the Bears before when they play crappy opponents? Is having quarterback performances like that. And I understand Mitch Trubisky and his 6-touchdown performance against Tampa. And a lot of us said it at the time. You love to see it. You like to see Mitch taking advantage of it. But my God, those players were open by not 2 yards, not 5 yards. They were streaking wide open across the field. 10 yards, 15 yards, blown coverage, 20 yards. That was not the case here. Did Caleb have some wide open guys a couple times? Absolutely. Even when you watch some of those plays, like that guy was wide open. But then when you watch the replay and you see exact threading, the exact perfect timing that Caleb had to release that ball, like that Cole Kmet play, where at first I'm like, oh, Cole's wide open. But then you see the thread he had to get it past that first layer before he hit the wide open Kmet. The DJ Moore dot, 35 yards into the end zone, the perfect spot for the ball, even just everything about it. And I'll tell you what, I have never seen anything like this, especially in a Chicago Bears uniform. The swivel on Caleb Williams' head. He dancing around in the backfield, buying time. That head's on a swivel. He's looking behind him to see where the tackles have the edges. That is pocket presence. I just want to drop F-bombs all over this thing. It's really hard to try and keep this one clean today, but it was exciting to watch this development from Caleb Williams. And yeah, Jaden Daniels looks fantastic. But I'll tell you what, and I'm not going to rip Jaden Daniels because he is absolutely playing fantastic ball. The Washington Commanders are playing fantastic ball because they have a quarterback. Washington hasn't been able to have a quarterback in a long time. You know, when you're singing the praises of Sam Howell, that ain't good. They have a quarterback, and it's going a long way. But I'll tell you what, and I'm going to, talking to some of the Bears content creators and everything, I'm going to give Quentin Crisco, who, of course, has been, a contributor on the Bears podcasts and everything from time to time here at Second City Gridiron. And he said this a couple of weeks ago, and it really rings true. And, of course, Caleb Williams wasn't playing as well as he's playing right now. He said that Jaden Daniels is acing his NFL 101 class, but Caleb Williams is taking the graduate level advanced NFL class, and he's getting like a C+, right? That's what was going on there. And what we see with Caleb Williams, and this is where I'm talking about the growth curve. Like right now, we talk about how growth isn't linear, But my God, does it not look like it's linear with him? I mean, like literally his QB rating has gone up every, like 1 week it dipped like 2 points, but his QB rating has gone up basically every week. His EPA per play, if you like advanced analytics, literally every week it has gotten better, and it was far into the positives this year. You see like Craig Carton and Mark Schlereth trying to give, Danny Parkins, our old friend at Chicago radio, crap on his new show on Fox because of Caleb Williams' early starts. But it's the growth you're seeing every week. Caleb Williams makes a mistake, and you know what he doesn't do? He doesn't make that mistake again. I haven't seen a quarterback like that since Peyton Manning. Like, I don't know where the ceiling is here, but this man is a sponge right now. He is a sponge of NFL football, his athleticism, the information, the processing. I've never seen anything like this. And I know the Panthers stink. I get it. And the offensive line play was finally that. We're going to get into the factors that also help Caleb get to this level. And they can't be understated or overstated, I should say. But I will say this, guys. I can't believe what I'm seeing here. And I admit, I thought Caleb was going to be a little better out of the gate. I was certainly not expecting 93 yards or whatever it was against Tennessee in week 1. I didn't think it was going to be more than about 170 or 180 yards. I understood the growth pattern here. But what Caleb Williams is doing with the keys, and then we're going to get back to Jane Daniels here in a second. I'll actually work it all the way around. Have patience. I haven't lost the thread yet like I usually do. But Caleb Williams and what he's doing in terms of processing NFL defenses. I mean, they have given him the keys here. They have given him the keys. Like I said, Doug Kramer. No, like when Coleman Shelton, that's his name, turns around. He's like, we got effing fire, man. Caleb's like, I know, and calls the right play, 6 yard out, bam. Caleb is seeing it. He is reading defenses. He's moving people around. He is running an NFL offense like a veteran. And it's impressive to watch. And this is where we come back to Jaden Daniels. And what's going on with Jaden Daniels? He's playing great. Cliff Kingsbury has a great scheme for him, and he is executing it. And if he continues to do this, he's going to beat Caleb Williams for Rookie of the Year. But here's the difference. One, we haven't seen Jaden Daniels play some elite defenses yet. We'll see what happens there. Two, Jaden Daniels' scramble rate is absurdly high. Like, double the second highest scramble rate. Like it's up like 40%. Jaden Daniels doesn't have that first read. Gone. He's running. Jaden Daniels doesn't have the size to keep doing that. Justin Fields, much bigger than Jaden Daniels. He didn't have the size to keep doing that. You're going to get hurt. I don't want to bring up RG3 because it's the same franchise, and that was crushing. That RG3 and what he was doing early in his career was lost. But Jaden Daniels, they need to be careful with how they're utilizing him because he did it in college, but you can get away with that at LSU. He's doing it right now in Washington. That's going to eventually get him in trouble. So Jaden Daniels is not being asked to do the same things as Caleb Williams, and that's an important distinction. Caleb Williams is operating here. Yeah, my hand is up above my head, guys, if we're on the podcast. But Jaden Daniels is operating down by my nose here, right? They're different levels of offensive execution. Now, Jaden Daniels might be, prior to this week, Jaden Daniels might be executing his offense better than Caleb Williams, but it's a much more simplified offense that Jaden Daniels is operating. So we're going to see how that develops in Washington over the year. Are they going to tell him to stay in the pocket a little bit more? Are they going to give him more keys to the offense as it goes forward? But what they're doing now, I mean, they just dropped Caleb in the deep end and said, learn to swim, buddy. And he is learning. Now, that brings me to the rest of the offense here. I 10 minutes on Caleb, is that enough? Because, a little flushed talking about Caleb. Oh, baby. Bears have a quarterback. The Chicago Bears have a quarterback. That's right, everybody. All right. But for Caleb to operate like that, the offensive line played significantly better. And yes, the Carolina Panthers defensive line, the defense in general is bad. Their defensive line is not very good. They had key injuries out, and they took advantage of it. And that's what you need to do as a good football team. You need to take advantage of these type of teams when you have these opportunities present themselves. That's exactly what the Chicago Bears did. Offensive line played much better. Tevin Jenkins was busting heads until he unfortunately went out with an injury. But then let's talk about it. Bill Murray. Guys, this guy looked the part. He played really well. Pass pro, really solid. This is a guy who's a converted defensive lineman. It's only a couple years on the offensive side of the ball. I know, like, it depends on how old you are. If you're an old hat like me, you can sit there and be like converted defensive lineman like James Big Cat Williams. If you're a younger Gen Zer, you're sitting there going to converted defensive lineman like Rashad Coward. Like, it depends. It doesn't always work out, but it may work out here with Bill Murray. And the Bears didn't do the conversion, right? The Patriots did the conversion. Bill Belichick did that conversion. You know, I know nobody likes Bill Belichick anymore, but the man knows football. Converted Bill Murray to that side of the ball, and now the Bears swoop in and grab him. He looks like he might be something here. Like, he might be something more than a nice backup. There, you know, it's not perfect. He is still developing. He is still growing into this role. But you've got a guy like Bill Murray who looks much better. And, you know, Tevin Jenkins, and again, I worry here as a Tevin Jenkins fan exactly what's going to happen to him after this season, right? He's had a rough first 4 games. He's gotten banged up now twice. We've got sore ribs and a sore ankle. We talked about how, now he hadn't missed a game, but we talked about how Tev needs to stay on the football field this year. So I don't know. Maybe Tevin Jenkins just wants to stay in Chicago and the Bears can offer him, you know, 2 years, like a kind of a Nate Davis-y contract, 2 years, $20 million, $10 million guaranteed. And he's going to say, yeah, I'll stick around for that. No problem. Maybe he will. Great. But Tevin Jenkins, with his ability in the run game, he might sit there and say, no, guys, I got one shot at a big contract. I understand where I am with my body. If someone's willing to go out there and give me a 4-year, $60 million deal with $30 million guaranteed, I have to take it. Ryan Poles would understand that too. So we'll see what happens with Tevin Jenkins and this line, building up how this line is going to be in 2025. I'm sure we'll get into that as the season progresses. But I was impressed with Bill Murray. And, you know, Nate Davis, I was worried that when Nate Davis found his way to the bench, that he was going to basically, you know, just say, fine, I quit, and give even less effort than whatever had been going on with Nate Davis prior. But Nate Davis looks pretty good out there. You got to give him credit. He's looking functional as an offensive lineman. So you had to like what you saw out of the offensive line. Obviously, Caleb Williams incorporating Keenan Allen in the game, him and DJ Moore. We saw DJ's attitude. You could tell DJ was getting frustrated with how he was being utilized in the offense and how Caleb Williams was getting him the ball. A lot changed there. Did they do some extra work in practice? They sit down and talk about it. Did Shane, Caleb, and DJ sit down and talk about this? You got to like what you saw there. Cole Kmet continues to be a key part of this offense, and the running game continues to look a little better. Now, let's be fair. The running game was not, you know, like Derrick Henry kind of a running game here. You know, Swift was still under 4 yards a carry. Roschon was under 4 yards a carry. Basically, the Bears averaged 3 yards a carry, roughly. Their running backs did as a team. That's not going to cut it. That's not good enough. But when Caleb is playing that well and you're playing a bad Carolina Panthers team, a mediocre running game is going to be good enough to get you a few first downs, keep the defense guessing enough. But that still needs to improve. The running game still needs to improve. We can get giddy about how good the defense looked, and we should. We'll talk about Javon Dexter in a second. And we should be super giddy about Caleb Williams, but there are still things to clean up. And the Bears have a good opportunity here over the next month or so with Jack. And again, I understand Washington has a really good record, but with Jacksonville, with Washington, with Arizona, with these teams they've got coming up, New England, they still have an opportunity to kind of clean some of this up before they get into the teeth of that schedule, which is all their division games. And of course, San Francisco as well. I know San Francisco's got a bad record, but I don't believe San Francisco to be a bad football team, especially if Christian McCaffrey is back by the end of the season there. So let's see what this offense does, continues to improve as Caleb Williams continues to get better. And like I said, the progress has been linear right now. If it gets better again, I don't even, what 4 touchdowns, 400. I don't even know how this can get any better. I'm assuming we're going to have a little bit of a dip here against Jacksonville. We can't keep getting this much better. This guy's going to be the best quarterback in the league by the end of the season at this rate. And we have to have some level of reason, right? I mean, just a little. So love what I'm seeing out of Caleb Williams and this offense. And before we switch to the defensive side of the ball, Shane Waldron, I like what you're doing, buddy. And I sat there, I got frustrated with some of the run plays, and, we know the disastrous speed option at the goal line. I got frustrated too, but I had said, I think I've been consistent on this podcast. Give Shane Waldron a minute. This is a brand new set of personnel that had never played together. I mean, when you talk about basically 12 offensive starters, right? Because you're talking about his 2 tight end set and his 3 wide receiver set. So if you count Gerald Everett and Rome Odunze, if we're calling him wide receiver 3, if we're talking about those guys as both starters, so you got 12 starters. How many of those 12 starters are new? DeAndre Swift, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, Gerald Everett, Caleb Williams, right? Coleman Shelton. That is half the offense, guys. Half the offense. You don't just snap your fingers and it clicks. It takes a while for everyone to get to know each other, especially offensive line and how it works in the run game and a new run scheme. And like I said, there were a lot of issues there. And there clearly still some issues. You should be getting more than 3 point yards a carry against the Carolina Panthers. I'm not saying it's all cleaned up, but give Shane Waldron a chance to get this offense to meld. Let him try some different things, right? Let him see if he can figure out a way to work Gerald Everett into the game. Let him see the best way to operate. Keenan Allen goes down immediately and they don't have him for a couple games. That's going to adjust what he has to do. The offensive line was a hot mess. And yes, absolutely partly his fault, Chris Morgan's fault, but the offensive line needs to gel. And as we know, a lot of guys, because Nate Davis sat out and Ryan Bates, and then Ryan Bates goes down, a lot of moving parts there to try and get this offensive line, you need that to play as a unit and not individual. That offensive line needs to play as a unit. So what we're seeing here is an offense that's coming together in a new scheme. Shane Waldron, who's willing to admit to his team he makes mistakes. Mercedes Lewis talked about it on his podcast with David Kaplan. Great podcast. You should check that one out when you get an opportunity. But this is what the Bears are doing. They are coming together. They are learning from their mistakes. Caleb Williams is growing, which the offense didn't have the ability to carry a rookie quarterback early. They needed the run game to do that. And then it just comes totally dysfunctional. It's coming together. You can't just snap your fingers week 1 and expect it to work. This was going to take time. That's what I continued to say here as we led up to where we got here with this Carolina Panthers team. And again, Jacksonville, they have played awful football. So the Bears may be able to take advantage of Jacksonville as well. Now, Jacksonville won last week. Maybe they woke up a little bit. London games are weird. I'm not saying this should be a walk. I think it's a coin flip game because these London games are so weird. But the Chicago Bears are in a position to absolutely win this football game this weekend. Not just because of the offense, but because of the defense. And look, we don't need to spend a ton of time on the secondary. Kevin Byard looked good. Jonathan Owens catch the ball. I think your wife would have. She would have just popped up above you and caught it like a cricket. But you got to catch those, Jonathan Owens, because Jaquan Brisker's out. You're going to be getting reps with the ones here this week. When those opportunities for turnovers are there, Jonathan Owens needs to take advantage. And I like the Jonathan Owens signing. I'm not ripping Jonathan Owens because I thought they had a huge problem last year as their third safety. I talked about it last year. I talked about it in the offseason. You probably said, shut up, Bill. Enough with the third safety. It's a backup. It was a big problem for me. I love the Jonathan Owens signing, and he's worked really well. And the fact that he can step in for Brisker here in London, big help. Big help that's the situation there. Obviously, we know how good the corners are. Tremaine Edmonds, hat off to you again. You continue to play good football. I love what I'm seeing from Tremaine Edmonds after I was tortured watching him last year. And we get to this defensive line. And this defensive line, as you know, I was more worried about the defensive line than the offensive line going into this season. I was wrong. See, I can admit it. I was wrong about this defensive line. They are playing very good football. And Gervon Dexter, who is below average against the run, better than he's been, that needs to continue to improve. If it does, and I said I did not think Gervon Dexter could be a disruptive 3-tech. If he figures out run defense, if he figures it out, and this is only year 2, this can still take a couple more years of development. If he becomes a dominant force in the run game, think about it, if he keeps developing his pass rush is outstanding. The reps he's winning, not just the sacks. Early on, I kind of thought it was some more isolated play, but it's already improving. Week to week, Gervon Dexter is improving right now. I think his confidence is improving. His pass rush win rate is outstanding. Watch the tape. He is winning pass rushing reps regularly. He's doing a great job here. So Gervon Dexter, love what I'm seeing there. And that's the thing. When Dexter steps up, now again, because the depth sucks, I'm still not a believer in Zach Pickens. I know he's been out for pretty much the whole season, but the depth, I have concerns about what this is going to do to the defensive line as the season moves forward, because they are eating a lot of reps because they don't have the rotation as much as they need to. They're getting the reps down a little bit, but they're still higher than I want to see. So I do have some concerns there with the volume of plays this defensive line is playing. I don't always love the rotations I'm seeing from Eberflus and Washington, but this defensive line is playing good quality football. They need to get better against the run. That continues to be an issue. Even if you take away the Hubbard long touchdown, 38 yards, I think it was, Hubbard still averaged like 4.5 yards a carry without that play. They've got to get better against the run. They've got to clean that up as the season moves forward, but their pass defense is outstanding. Obviously, the secondary is elite, and this team, it's a lot of fun to watch, and it's going to be interesting to see just where this ceiling is this year, and that's going to depend on the right arm of Caleb Williams. If that improvement continues to go as it has, the Bears may have a top 10 quarterback by the end of the season. Repeat, the Chicago Bears could have a top 10 quarterback by the end of the season if Caleb Williams continues to develop at the rate he's developing. We're going to get to Spice Adams next. This is Bears Banter. Bill Zimmerman. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the podcast. I am excited to do this. We've had plenty of great Bears guests on this podcast over the years, but never had this man, and he is always a lot of fun and brings a lot of knowledge. He is Spice Adams, and he joins me now. Spice, Bill Zimmerman, how you doing?
I'm all right, man. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, and got plenty I want to get to you with, but I know you're here today on behalf of Tide. You got some things going on. I know you always got a clean look, so Tide's perfect for you. So you tell me what you got going on with Tide.
Well, Tide is doing a campaign where they're tackling stains, which is genius. And so now they've involved me. And the cool thing about it is, as a player, you always ride past the tailgate. You're never a part of the tailgate. So you see all the fun everybody's having. Everybody's eating all the greatest food. They're playing catch. They're doing all of these things, and it just looks so fun. But we never really get a chance to be a part of it. So now Tide is like, now you're a part of it. because nobody does game day like a Buffalo, like a Kansas City, like New Orleans, and no one cleans better than Tide. So you know, at these tailgates, when you're eating pizza or you're eating a cheeseburger or a hot dog or something like that, you're gonna get stains on yourself. So what better way to clean those stains than with Tide? So Tide is tackling stains. It's great, man. It's a great thing to be a part of, man. And I'm happy to be, partnering with Tide for this campaign because, I mean, you see all the tailgate rituals, the activities, the customs, the cuisine, like all of that stuff, man. And it's just a fun thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I got one of those Tide stain pens. I use them all the
Yeah,
time. I'm
you got the pen, you got the pods, everything, man.
I'm a messy eater. No, absolutely. So, speaking of messy, you're a messy eater if you get to be a big guy playing defensive line in the NFL. So before we get Bears, Monday Night Football, and I know the Saints lost, but there was just an awesome play. Kalen Saunders, defensive lineman, with an interception in the end zone. So you think, oh, he's going to go down, gets a touchback. But no, this man had his sights set on a return. He goes flying down the sidelines. I saw next gen stats that he was like 16 miles per hour, like the third fastest 320 pounder in like the last 15, like all these fun stats. Like that was awesome to see. Like what do you see when you see a guy rumbling down the sidelines like that?
Oh, it's the greatest, man. It's a dream for us big guys, man. We never get the ball. We never get the rock. So any chance we get to show off our speed or our juke moves or something like that, then that's what we're gonna do. But he had a dream series. The play before that, I think they did a shuffle pass to Travis Kelce, and he was blew that thing up. You know what I mean? Then the very next play, that's when he get the interception. And also, I know him. Like I got a chance to sit down and talk to him before he got drafted, and he got drafted to Kansas City, the team he was playing against. So like everything was happening for him, and they were just talking about him and his brother, like the play before that. So it was an awesome time for Saunders last night to do that, and the way that he did it, like he was running past the DB. He was telling the DB, "Hey man, you go block somebody, man. I got this." So if he would have made one more cut, like he probably would have housed that thing, man.
Yeah, it was awesome. Memories of Keith Trailer for Bears fans. But
we just talked to Jerry Azuma about that because Jerry was running so slow and he didn't get any blocks for Trailer. No blocks.
Oh,
like
man.
we watched that film, I promise, 2 days ago. Me and Peanut, we were going over the film and we talked to Jerry Azuma and said, your blocks were putrid. They were terrible. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Damn straight. Now, I wasn't sure. I didn't remember quite with you. So I did look up your stats. Now, I did see there was a fumble.
I'm sorry to hear that.
3 yards. So I want to know, what was the play where you clearly did a scoop and you tried to rumble? What did you just maybe get tripped up, or were you close to maybe having a fantastic play there?
I'm gonna tell you what happened. Every time I get a fumble recovery, Alex Brown is always near me. And he, instead of going to block somebody, he goes for the ball. I already have the ball, sir. I already have it. It's by me. It's by my hands. I've already picked it up. Sir, go and block somebody. So teammates like Alex Brown, Jerry Azuma, they're not good blockers. They want the ball. And I understand Jerry Azuma is a dynamic returner, but you don't have the ball this time, okay? So go and block somebody. Alex Brown used to play quarterback in high school, but that doesn't help me right now. Go and block somebody, all right? I have the ball in my hand currently, right now. Go block somebody. So that's what happened on play. That's why it was only 3 yards, and it could have been a touchdown. Well, but thanks for reminding me.
That's what I'm here for. I got to bring back all the sour spots. Now, speaking of blocking somebody, let me ask you a little bit about Doug Kramer here and what the Bears are doing with him. Because right now, he's plowing the way on goal line, everything, having a lot of fun. You saw him going in motion there against Carolina. Spice, I'm feeling like a play action little leak out to Kramer for a touchdown. What do you think? You think that maybe the Bears are going to have some fun with that?
Might as well. You might as well do it. I mean, you want to be able to break all your tendencies, especially, if you're on a goal line or something like that. You want to have multiple ways that you can have options to run different plays. So yeah, why not put that in there? I remember me playing fullback. It's always a play where I have to kick out somebody or something like that. But they also had a play where I act like I'm going to kick somebody out and I run in a flat. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure they have something like that in the package. They just waiting on the opportune time to use it.
Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll get Bears fans going back to the
For
Nagy
sure.
days in 2018 with some of those Akeem Hicks plays and Bradley
Mm-hmm.
Sowell and all those. But
Yeah.
let me ask you a little bit about this team here because let me start with the quarterback. Obviously, Caleb Williams. There was a wild off season with Caleb Williams and Justin Fields. A little bit of a bumpy start for Caleb, rookie quarterback. Of course, that's to be expected. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Spice, this is like exponential growth. I mean, I don't think it's they say progress isn't linear. Right now, it seems to be linear. He gets better every week, every statistic, every advanced analytic, any way you look at it, just the eye test, watching this guy play, his pocket presence, starting to work
Mm-hmm.
the ball down the field, intermediate and deep routes. This is fun to watch. And no disrespect to any of the quarterbacks you played with in your playing career, but it finally looks like the Bears may have really landed a special one.
I hope so. He sure looks like it, man. And I think there was a stat they were saying that the last quarterback to throw back-to-back 300 games was like a Rex Grossman or Kyle Orton or maybe even Jay Cutler. I can't remember, but just the fact that you are doing this and we've only played 5 games,
Right.
like that is a success. You know what I'm saying? And you got to keep building on that success. And I think that he's doing a great job right now. And I think he's only going to continue to get better. He didn't have any interceptions the last game. So you got to keep building on those things. Do the things that he's great at. He's great outside the pocket. So get him on the run. Like get him running some screens, some tight end screens, some running back screens, like some bubble screens. Get him doing sprint outs. Get him doing bootlegs. Get him to the point where he's moving around, like he's having fun. He's able to make a decision there if I need to tuck the ball and run, or if I need to just dump it off to this 5-yard route, or do I need to dump it off to this 15-yard route? Like he's out there making great decisions. And I think fans in Chicago should be excited about Caleb Williams because I think he's before it's all said and done, I think he'll probably become one of the all-time greats here.
Yeah, that would be awesome to see. So let me ask you from a player perspective, how important is it to have confidence in the quarterback? Because I mean, look, you tell me if I'm wrong. I would think that plenty of players had confidence that Jay Cutler could get the job done. There was a lot of arm talent there, but we're not going to pretend that every quarterback that played over the years was a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. You as a defensive player and your defensive teammates. I mean, is it like an eye roll? Is it difficult if you don't have any faith in the offense, or is it more of all right, look, we're the better half of this team. We know we have to step up and we have to carry the other side. Like how does that dynamic work if you know that offense is going to struggle because of the quarterback?
Well, if you know that the offense is going to struggle, then like I was just saying with my fumble recoveries, like go block somebody. Like we really put emphasis on scoring on defense because it was just like, where are we going to get our points from? So we got to put the onus on us. Like we got to score touchdowns. How do we score touchdowns? We take the ball away. So we got real good at stripping the ball. Then we got Peanut Tillman out there, peanut punching everything. Anytime I see 33 near the ball, I am sprinting. I am running. The fumble recovery that you're talking about was caused by Peanut Tillman. So anytime I see him, I'm sprinting, and it just becomes contagious. And it gets to the point where you play with a lot of unselfish guys, and so they're going to be willing to go out there to get that extra block so that we can score. And then at the end of the day, you still got to kick to Devin Hester. So we had a formula, but not everybody has that formula. Now, if you're on a team where you got a great quarterback and you're playing defense, you want to try to get the ball back to him as many times as possible. So that's going to motivate you to go out there and get the stops, get the 3 and outs, to get the interceptions, to force the fumbles, because you want to get the ball back to your great quarterback. So there's two sides to everything. But if you're on the side where your offense isn't doing well, then you have to practice blocking. You have to practice getting the takeaways and what to do after those takeaways.
Yeah, now, since we're talking defense, let me ask you about this defensive line, because I'll be honest, coming into this season, I was worried about the trenches for this team on both sides of the ball, especially like depth on the defensive line. Wasn't sure if it was going to be there. I know they made a couple trades right before the season with Taylor and Williams to try and bolster the depth a little, but this defensive line is playing, I give them all the credit in the world. They are playing a lot better than I expected them to going into this season. And Gervon Dexter, I mean, he looks like he is becoming an elite interior pass rusher. It's impressive what he is doing. He is constantly winning one-on-one reps. I mean, what do you think about, I mean, obviously Montez Sweat, we knew was a great player. Andrew Billings has been a beast for the year and a half. He's been here. But what do you think of like the development of a guy like Dexter and what that can do for this defense and the defensive line moving forward?
It's a testament to what Coach Eric Washington is doing. I had some time with Coach Rod Marinelli, and when Coach Marinelli was in, he brought Coach Washington in, and he taught him everything, and it's paying off. So when I go out there to practice and I see the defensive linemen running, I see them working on their pass rush, I see them using their hands, I see them shedding, I see them doing everything we used to do when I was coached by Rod Marinelli and Coach Washington. So it's a testament to the job that he's doing. Like Zach Pickens and Gervon Dexter, like Andrew Billings, like the guys up front, they're doing a great job. And even, you got Daryl Taylor coming in. Like it's not a drop-off. It's not a drop-off when somebody else comes into the game, because all the onus is going to be on Sweat. Like, where is he? Like, do we got to double him? We got to chip him or whatever. But you still got DeMarcus Walker on the other end. You know what I mean? You still got to worry about other guys that are coming in. Like, you got to worry about Austin Booker. You know what I mean? So it's a great thing to watch. And I love the depth that we have. And I love the guys because everybody was saying, hey, we need another pass rusher. We need this, we need that. But the guys that we have up front right now is getting the job done. So I think it's just a testament to what Coach Eric Washington is doing with the defensive line for sure.
Yeah, no, they're really coming together. And when you look at this team from top to bottom, there are not a lot of holes on this roster. You look at, there's a few, but, like last year, 2 years ago, Ryan Poles goes out, tries to make a big acquisition for Chase Claypool, doesn't quite work out. Last year he goes out, picks up Montez Sweat, and of course, wrecking ball, just totally upgraded that defense, upgraded all, multiplier is the great word, because you saw how much better Justin Jones played and how much better Tremaine Edmonds, I thought, was playing better behind him once Sweat was wrecking people. So, I mean, would you want to see the Bears go out? They got 2 second-round picks with the Panthers pick there. Would you want to see the Bears go out here? The deadline's coming up in a few weeks and maybe try and make another splash for a big player? Or do you like what they have and they should just stick with the group?
Yeah, why not? I mean, you see the success that you've had when you just entered one player into the mix. You entered Montez Sweat into the mix, and he just instantly made our defense better. So maybe if you can get somebody on that other end, to take the pressure off of him, so now he can get more one-on-one blocks. I don't know. It's something to think about. But right now, I think the team is good where they're at right now. But we could always be better. I remember, the type of players we were bringing in. Like, it was just a revolving door. Man, we got Darwin Walker in here. We got Charles Grant in here. We got Jimmy Kennedy in here. Like, it was a revolving door of talent that was coming in and out. So I think that makes the team that much better. Like, guys are going to compete a little bit more because they're like, hey, I need some playing time. You know what I mean? And so I need to get out here on this field, and whoever I got to beat. And that just makes the team better, because now everybody's competing and vying for a spot out there. That just makes the team that much better.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we're getting close to wrapping up here with Spice Adams, let me ask you about this week. Bears in London playing the Jaguars. Now, not so much trying to preview the specific matchup with Jacksonville, but what do you think of these international series? Is this something you're into? I mean, I think a lot of players that's a big disruptor. Having to go across the sea. Bears already out over there trying to get their clock set. They're going to be there, 5 days or so, whatever it is. Like, what do you think of these international series? Because I heard Goodell in the offseason say he wants to do 16 in the near future and basically have one practically every week and a team doing one every year. What do you think of this? And from a player perspective, what do you think of these type of games?
Well, I was a type of player where I didn't care. I didn't care where we were going. I didn't care what we were doing. If we line up, like, let's go. I didn't care if we played on Sunday and then we play again on Thursday. Like, let's go. I don't care. I don't care if it's London. I don't care if it's across the street. Like, let's go. Let's go. I don't care what it is. That was my mindset. Like, just tell me when and where. I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna give you 100%. So I didn't care where we played. I didn't care if it was international series or what. So, but that's just the type of player I was, and I'm pretty sure there were several other people who really didn't care. Like, sometimes it's a hassle, like traveling for hours, and you get jet lagged, and so you want to leave early. I want to be down there for a week. Oh, I only want to be down there for 2 days. I only want to be down there for 3 days, whatever you come up with. Like, on Sunday, you still got to put your hand in the dirt and go. So you control what you can control. You can't control the time change. You can't control when or where you play, but just get there early, get yourself ready, get yourself prepared, and let's go. Make the X's and O's come alive on the field.
All right. Now let me ask you this as we wrap up. Let's say we go back a few years. You're walking, you're at Soldier Field and you see someone wearing a Spice Adams jersey and it's got a big barbecue stain across the white number from their tailgate. Do you look at that as a disrespect to Spice Adams? Do you give it respect because they had a tailgate, or are you pissed that they didn't have a Tide pen ready there to fix the situation?
You know what? A little bit of all of those emotions come up, but I'm pretty sure if I seen somebody with a 95 jersey and they turn around, it's going to say Dent on the back. So, but Tide to get that stain out. Tide to get that stain out for sure.
All right, well, there he is, everyone. It's Anthony Adams. You know him as Spice, Chicago Bears legend. He does all the great social media stuff, all the fun stuff going on around the Bears, and of course, he is tackling stains with Tide. So make sure you go out, get your Tide pods, your Tide detergent, your Tide pens, whatever you need to get those stains out from that tailgate, and get that barbecue sauce out. Spice, thanks so much. That was a lot of fun, and let's just watch that Kalen Saunders interception on loop. That was an awesome.
For sure, man. Are you?
All right, there he is, Spice Adams. Everybody, make sure you pick up your Tide wherever you get. Nope, Lester, I need to get the read. Hang on, let me get the read. Just ignore all this. I remembered this time. Where is the read? Lester's probably staring at me going, this moron never remembers anything. Underdog ad read. Bam. Can't keep me down. All right, here we go. Mailbag. 3, 2, 1. All right, there he is, Spice Adams, everybody. And make sure you pick up your Tide wherever you get your laundry products. You know what else is clean besides Tide leaving your clothes clean? Clean way to play around the NFL season is with Underdog Fantasy. It is a great time of the year. It is football season, as Spice knows. It is tailgate season. Football is here for months. Your significant other is miserable as you are parked on the sofa. Did you see last Sunday was the longest NFL day ever because the Sunday night football game was delayed. There was a London game. There was nonstop football from 8:30 in the morning until midnight. What a day for football. What a day it would have been to play Underdog Fantasy, because over 1 million fans across 33 states got in the game last year making picks on Underdog. You can win 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on your favorite players' stats, touchdowns, passing yards, whatever it might be. I love playing Underdog Fantasy. I'm getting into more and more of these different types of games you can play. Underdog Fantasy is a great place to do it. Now, let's talk about how you can get in the game with Underdog Fantasy. Making picks on Underdog, it's straightforward. Signing up is even easier. Head over to Underdogs. You can get the simple-to-use mobile app. That's easy on the phone. Of course, UnderdogFantasy.com if you're a dinosaur like me. Sign up with the promo code CITY, of course, CITY, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code CITY, to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Now, gotta give you the bold type. Must be 18 or over, 19 or over in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or over in Colorado for some of the games, 21 and over in Massachusetts and Arizona. You have to be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, you can call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. Underdog Fantasy, a partner here with Second City Gridiron. We are excited to have them. All right, let's get to the mailbag, and we'll give you a little Jaguars preview at the end here, because the Chicago Bears, baby, have a quarterback. All right, let's get to this mailbag. I asked, in honor of Spice Adams, I don't know if you ever figured this out. When I ask for mailbag questions, I give you a little hint on the guest. Sometimes I beat you over the head with it, but I asked not just for questions, but I asked for spicy takes. So that's what we got from at Pacifica120S. You can be the NFL CB1 without any interceptions. Now, I get what you're talking about here, Pacifica. You're talking about a shutdown corner that's so good that the other teams are afraid to throw the football in their direction. And that is 100% a thing. We see it all the time with guys like Darrelle Revis and obviously Deion Sanders, if you're old like me. Some of these great all-time corners, they absolutely are shut down top corners in the league, and the interception opportunities are limited. But I will say this, you can't have no interceptions. You're still going to get thrown to sometimes, especially if you're a true shutdown corner. Defense is going to start putting you up against guys like Justin Jefferson and, Amon-Ra and some of the great wide receivers in the league. And if that's going to happen, that offense is still going to try and challenge you and work the football in your direction. If that's the case, you've got to get some turnovers. I mean, Jalen Johnson, perfect example. He has definitely become an elite corner. His coverage skills are excellent, and they did improve from his first couple years in the league. But Jalen has also been elevated to this position because he is finally turning the ball over. He is getting interceptions. He is turning the ball back to his offense. So I agree with you to an extent. You don't need to have 9 interceptions, but you still, when you have limited opportunities, you still have to take them sometimes. Chicago Bears, not Chicago Bears, Jalen Johnson, guys like that, you have to get turnovers. So I can't say 0, but I can say few. All right. We've got another spicy take from Barely Interesting. The Bears made the right decision at offensive coordinator. You know what? I agree with you. And again, this is, I said, you need patience with Shane Waldron. You need time to put this together. And we're seeing it come together, especially as Caleb Williams develops. So Do I think the Bears made the right decision? I mean, after 2 weeks, Clint Kubiak got a parade down Bourbon Street in New Orleans, but guess what? Reality has come crashing down. He's averaging like 14, 15 points a game the last 3 weeks. It turns out lots of teams scored lots of points against the Carolina Panthers, and the Cowboys are a hot mess. So when that's the case, yeah, you better have your offense shine. So settle down with Clint Kubiak. Now, again, I'm not going to get into the whole Matt Eberflus, should he not have gone situation. We've hit that here, barely interesting. But I will say Shane Waldron was the best offensive coordinator available. And what Shane Waldron is a solid, not a spectacular offensive coordinator. If Caleb Williams becomes an elite top 5 QB by next season or whatever, Shane Waldron's going to look really freaking good, and he may get some head coach interview spots, although I have heard he's not the best interview candidate in terms of how he comes across in interviews. We'll see if that's true. We'll see if he sticks around because of it. He's not a ball of personality that I think you want as your head coach. Usually they need to control the room. Not sure if Shane has that type of personality, but look, right now, this offense worked. And when you sit there and you go through it, I'm not going to spend 10 minutes doing it, but when you sit there and go, well, you got Sean McVay, you got Kevin O'Connell, you got Andy Reid, you start doing these elite offensive minds, you start coming up 10, 12 before you even consider talking about Shane Waldron. Then you start talking about the pretty good guys, and that's where you start getting Shane in there. So he probably falls somewhere between 14 and 17 in terms of offensive minds in the NFL. And that's okay, because if you have elite talent, especially at the quarterback position, that is going to work. Now, Dolmite 79 wants to poop on my parade, and he's got a spicy take. This is still the worst staff in the North, and it's not particularly close. So, yes, I agree with that. I hate to agree with it, but I do agree with it. And again, not going to get into the firing Matt Eberflus situation, especially coming off a great win like this. But you just kind of look at it and go, Ben Johnson is the lead offensive coordinator. Dan Campbell has this team winning football games the last couple of years. Brian Flores is an elite defensive coordinator, and Kevin O'Connell is a great offensive mind. Matt LaFleur is making a case to be the best offensive mind in football. I don't know if he is, but the case has been made. He's right there with Sean McVay. He's right there with Andy Reid. He's that freaking good. So when you have phenomenal coaching in the division, it sucks that the Bears have okay coaching. And that's what they have. Shane Waldron is pretty good. Matt Eberflus, great defensive mind. He's right there, in terms of a top 10 defensive coordinator. But in terms of a head coach, he's just okay. So yes, I agree with that, Dolmite. Now, again, that doesn't mean they're doomed, but it is unfortunate that the players on the field will have to outplay their opponents, because rarely will the Bears outcoach their division opponents. All right, Matt M. Here's spicy take. Bill Murray should be starting. I am not ready to go there. Love the passion for it because Bill Murray played great. We talked about it in the open, but I'm not ready to go there because I think you got to be a little careful here and not, just flood Bill Murray in there, but he absolutely should get opportunities. I'm not saying rotate. I hate rotating offensive linemen, but absolutely there. He's ready to step up. He needs to be active on game days always. That's the move there. He is a good backup with an opportunity, because when you start looking at this team building for 2025, you're obviously going to have Darnell Wright at right tackle. You're going to either have Braxton Jones or Karan Amagaji at left tackle. I assume next year Jones will be at left tackle. Amagaji will be the swing. Then they'll make a decision after 2025 what they want to do at left tackle. But this interior, if they don't re-sign Tevin Jenkins, Ryan Bates is back, they may need 3 new guys along the interior. So what exactly are they going to do on the interior? If you're going to go out and try and sign a big name free agent like a Trey Smith, you may want to, obviously they can go get guys in the second round. Great time to get interior offensive linemen. You get a great hit rate on interior offensive linemen in the second round, but you don't necessarily know if those are guys going to be ready to go week 1. Having a guy like Bill Murray on the team who can start and you can feel comfortable starting And if your rookie overtakes him during the season, now you've got even more depth along the offensive line. All right, Joe Tucio. You can make one realistic trade before the deadline to better this team. What are you doing? All right, this is a tough one because rarely will teams trade offensive linemen in the season. Why? Because you don't want to make your offensive line worse. Teams are terrified to make their offensive line worse, even if they're bad, right? Like I was sitting there like, could you get Austin Corbett if you wanted to? Bam, he's out for the year. Like you have to look at a bad football team who's willing to trade an offensive lineman. But a lot of bad football teams have young rookie quarterbacks who are struggling. You don't want to make it harder on them. So what exactly can they do? If you're going to say it's hard to get an offensive lineman, they just committed to Swift. They've got 2 tight ends they've committed to. They've got wide receivers they've committed to. If you can't get an offensive lineman, you are not going to make a trade on the offensive side of the football. Well, that leaves the defensive side of the football. And what have I said? As good as this defensive line is playing, they don't have a lot of depth. So can they go out and, now it's a big price, Joe. It's going to be one of those second round picks. Can they go out and get, I was talking about Jonathan Allen all during the offseason. The Commanders aren't getting rid of Jonathan Allen. They got playoff hopes. I look at the Cincinnati Bengals and I look at Trey Hendrickson. Do you want to give up a 2 for Trey Hendrickson, who most likely is going to want to test the market next year? I don't know. But if you put Trey Hendrickson across for Montez Sweat with DeMarcus Walker rotating behind them and in the interior, and now you can move Walker and get him more reps on the interior with Dexter and Billings, you don't have to worry about Pickens. You've still got Taylor to rotate on the defensive edge side of the football. That is exactly how you can make things happen on the defensive line. Build the depth there. Now, I can't tell you if a low-level guy, a rotational guy is going to become available that they could trade, 4th, 5th type round pick for. That'll be interesting to see if they do something like that. But that'd be the guy I'd look at. Trey Hendrickson, the Bengals stink. Joe Burrow basically said they stink. So, and he doesn't want to be there. So that would be the guy I would circle as a potential guy to bring to Chicago. Brett Boyspud, is the NFC North the strongest division in the NFL this season? It probably is. I think everyone assumed it was going to be the AFC North. Pittsburgh looks okay. Baltimore is strong. Cleveland has the worst quarterback in the league. They're going to rot with that Deshaun Watson contract. I can tell you, no owner wants to try and help the Browns out of that contract. They didn't want Jimmy Haslam to give that contract. He gave it anyway, full guaranteed. That's how the Lamar collusion started, because the NFL's like, we are not giving out guaranteed contracts like this. And here's why. You would have thought it was because of injury. In Deshaun Watson's case, it's because he forgot how to play football, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. I love seeing Watson's career crumble to dust. So with the AFC North not being quite as strong, it's definitely not the West, South, or East, because Aaron Rodgers has just fired his head coach. And don't think it wasn't Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers fired his head coach. NFC East. NFC East has an argument, but you got the Giants there, Bears, yeah, NFC North. Yep, I'll call it. NFC North, Brett, you are right. It is the best division in the NFL. Ed Helinsky, what letter grade do you give the Bears so far this season? Feel free to break it down. Coaching, front office, offense, defense, and special teams. All right. So I know it's 5. It's not quite the third poll. We'll call it the quarter poll, Ed. Quarter poll grades. For the coaching staff, I'm going to give him a C, and a C is fine. A C is average. Shane Waldron, not good early, has gotten better. Matt Eberflus, defensive coordinator type Matt Eberflus, has been definitely above C all season long, but Matt Eberflus, CEO sideline, not great. Richard Hightower, awesome week 1. So yeah, I'm going to give it overall a C. Maybe I'll bump it to a C+, but you can't give him a higher grade than that. There's definitely been some coaching warts. Front office, then you're going to look at the new additions for this season. there's strikes and gutters here. No doubt about it. Caleb Williams, awesome. Rome Odunze, certainly looking good so far. So you got to like what you saw there. Torrey Taylor had a huge game 2 weeks ago. You love to see that. So overall, I would say let's give it a B, because not everything has worked out. Gerald Everett's been a little iffy. Ryan Bates has been hurt. We don't know exactly what's going on there. Coleman Shelton was really rough there. Had a much better game this week, but again, Panthers stink. Darrell Taylor, a nice acquisition. Chris Williams, I thought he had some little burst, but Chuba Hubbard ran right over him basically for that touchdown. So Kevin Byard, though, also looks good. So yeah, let's go a B for the front office. All right, offense overall, I'm going back to CC plus because of the fact that how good they looked here, functional the week before, and overall pretty bad before then. Maybe you have to give them a C minus. Let's move that to a C minus. We're going to say below average there, even with the Panthers game, because they were probably in the D range before that. So C minus for the offense. Defense gets a solid A. I think they've been excellent. They need to stop the run. That's what's preventing them from an A plus. If I wanted to be a stickler about their run defense, I'd drop into an A minus. Defense has been very good in special teams. I'm going to go B plus. Torrey Taylor has shown some flashes with one phenomenal game. Cairo Santos did miss the long distance field goal before. Hasn't been perfect. I think the coverage on special teams has been very good. That's nice to see. Always hasn't been the case, as when Patrick Manley comes on this podcast, not always the case there. All right, we got 2 more to do. JD Brown. If Poles follows his normal pattern, he may look to add talent at the deadline. Where would you look to improve and would you target? JD already answered that one. Trey Hendrickson, just rewind the podcast back a few minutes and just pretend I answered your question right there. And we'll finish with Ken Mitchell, the Den. Nobody does a better job than Ken. What are the 5 worst run organizations in the NFL from ownership through coaching? For years, Chicago would have been on this list, but how about now? All right. This is tough. Can we eliminate the Bears because they're 3-2 and Kevin Warren is their president? And I like Kevin Warren. I know he gets a lot of flack. I'm still a fan that Kevin Warren is a part of this organization. So I'm going to go through this. All right. I'm going to give you the contenders, Ken. The Arizona Cardinals, they have to be a contender. The Bidwell family, really bad ownership. They don't, Steve Keim was a disastrous hire. They really haven't had great head coaches. Arizona Cardinals, I'm going to say, are on the list. Carolina Panthers, I think they were a pretty well-run organization for many years. Jerry Richardson, then, as it turns out, is not a good guy. Think about this. The NFL has a lot of those owners, there's a lot of stuff going on, right? Like in terms of maybe doing some shady dealings and finance. Yeah, what these billionaires are like. I'm not saying something groundbreaking. The NFL forced Jerry Richardson to sell his team. It was during the Me Too movement. I don't know what he did, but it had to have been bad. So when you start with the Jerry Richardson spot there, David Tepper has to be the worst owner in the league. He is hands-on. He's stupid. I mean, he might be business smart, but he's football stupid. Thinks he knows better than the football people. Disaster. So the Carolina Panthers are now on this list. That's 2. We're going to put the Bears aside because I think both those teams are definitely run worse than the Bears. The New York Giants have had some rough years, but I am not willing to put the Giants in a bottom 5 run organization. I do not hate John Mara. I think he is a respectable owner. I think Wellington Mara, his father, was a very good man for this league for a long time. So I'm not willing to put the Giants there, but they need to figure some things out in a while because Joe Shane ain't great. Brian Daboll, I mean, they got Daniel Jones playing a little better this year. The Saquon Barkley, they let him walk. He's playing great without, So the Giants are bottom 10. I'm not sure if I'm willing to put the Giants in the bottom 5. The Las Vegas Raiders I'm putting in there. The Josh McDaniels hire was a disaster. Mark Davis has no money. I can't respect he does not fit the role as a great owner. This is not the Al Davis Raiders. I understand they did get the move to Vegas. They do have a wonderful stadium. but right now, little bit of a rudderless ship, so little bit of a mess there. I'm putting the Raiders in the top 5. So that's 3, Ken. Let's see where we go. No, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to make the list. Well, I mean, probably Jacksonville. Jacksonville's on the bubble. The Shad Khan, I think, wants to do well. I think Shad Khan's now he has more money. George doesn't have the same kind of money, but I think Shad Khan wants to do well. He just doesn't know how to do well. Urban Meyer, he probably thought was a good idea. Let me bring in one of the best college coaches of all time. It's a disaster. So, Doug Peterson doesn't know what the hell he's doing anymore. Trent Baalke never should have been a general manager again. Oh my God, what a disastrous decision that was. So they're right there in the top 5. Cleveland is top 3. Cleveland is a mess. Jimmy Haslam and the Deshaun Watson contract. What a debacle. Kevin O'Connell's great. Kevin Stefanski is a great coach. I really think he's a very good coach. But what can you do? You've got good pieces everywhere. I think you got to put Cleveland in there because the ownership going in and saying, we're drafting Johnny Manziel. Did the football team want him? The football operations department, did they want him? No. Jimmy Haslam did. Who told Jimmy Haslam to draft Johnny Manziel? Apparently a homeless person. Go look it up. I'm not making this up. A homeless person said, draft Johnny Manziel. And he's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Calls his general manager, goes, we're drafting Johnny Manziel. How do you run a football organization like that? Anyway, Cleveland Browns, and because of the fact that they have never won a Super Bowl, appeared in a Super Bowl, they can't figure out the quarterback situation. Cleveland Browns on that list. And I think you got to put the Jets in there. You thought, they're going for Aaron Rodgers. They're making some splashes. That's backfiring. Aaron Rodgers is firing the head coach now. Because what? He's mad that Robert Saleh said maybe he shouldn't do the cadence like he does. Oh, God. Aaron, please go away. We don't need you anymore. Please go away. The league will be better without you. And then we could talk about you as a top 5 quarterback of all time in the past tense. It'll be better for everybody. So, Ken, I think I gave you 6. I gave you the Cardinals. I gave you the Panthers. I gave you the Raiders. I gave you Jacksonville. I gave you Cleveland and the Jets. So the Bears are not in the bottom 5. Woo frickin' who. All right, let's wrap this up. I don't want this to go too much longer. I've had a couple long, as I suffocate myself, I've had a couple long segments here. Let's wrap it up with the Jacksonville Jaguars preview. Trevor Lawrence looked a lot better last week. Did a light bulb finally go off? Because, wow, that has been a mess early on. Brian Thomas looks the frickin' part. Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson going to have their hands full with him. And Tank Bigsby, who I gave to Lester Wiltfong for basically nothing in the offseason in our Dynasty League because I thought he sucked because, God, he looked terrible last year. But he's running, man, he's got some explosion there. So they've got some pieces here. The defense hasn't looked good. So hopefully the Bears offense can do some things. I don't trust London games. They're weird. The Bears are already over there. I think that's a smart idea. Jacksonville's going to see what happens with the hurricane before they leave. What are you doing? It's a category 5. Run. Go to London. But anyways, they can do whatever they want. So I like how the Bears are handling this week better than Jacksonville. I think overall, that should put them in a pretty good spot. So I'm going to say the Bears do win this. They have a better record right now. They are playing better football, but I don't think this is like some walk in the park. Expect the Bears to coast like they did against Carolina, even if the record shows they might. I'm going to say 27-24 Chicago. I'm going to say it's going to be close in the fourth quarter. Anybody's game, but the Bears make the stops they need, get the field goals they need, and get this game in the victory column heading into a bye. 4-2 at the bye would be a great spot to be for this team as their young offense continues to come together. That's going to do it for Bears Banter. We'll talk to you soon. Bear down, everybody. Adios.